Alright, welcome back, guys. I guess this is the second episode of the podcast. I guess series you could call it that I'm doing. I said I was going to probably get a guest on for the second one, but this was such a long time ago. I think the first one I recorded was like August the 1st or something, because I remember it being a couple of days before my birthday. Yeah, as you guys know, this is going to be a pretty uncut video. There's not really going to be many what's it called, like transitions or anything, because unless obviously I have to, for example, if I have to go somewhere or if I get interrupted. But I'm basically just going to play a couple games of FIFA and just talk about stuff, really, just what's going on, or anything that, just basically general stuff that I want to talk about. But first thing I want to talk about is I actually had my driving test about 2.5 weeks ago. Before I get into like the practical one, I will talk about the theory, I don't know what you call it, theory test, which is just like the computer thing. But yeah, I obviously passed. Let me just turn down this volume on my TV quickly. There we go. But yeah, I obviously passed my theory test. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do my practical. I passed that first time, which I was really surprised about, because I honestly didn't do that much revision, or at least not as much as your instructor tells you to do. Because my instructor was telling me that I need to be doing, like, passing every single theory test that I do at least like 46, 47 out of 50 every single time, before I even think about doing my theory, really, because he was basically saying, like, you don't want to go in and just waste your money doing a test when the chances are you're not going to pass, which I guess is a fair point. Like, I can't remember how much the test is, because my mum actually paid for it for me, which was pretty nice of her, to be fair. But yeah, he basically just said you don't want to go in and waste your money on a test that you're most likely going to fail, which I guess is a fair point. But he was like stressing, like, you need to be passing these tests really well before you go in, otherwise the chances are you're going to fail, because you're going to be nervous and stuff, so the chances are you're not going to do as well as you do when you just sat on your couch or whatever doing it, which is true. But at the same time, I think it worked the reverse for me personally. I feel like because of the stress and knowing, like, I'm going to have to come back here again if I fail, like, it kind of pushed me to do even better than I probably would have done normally. But yeah, so I'm just going to tell you, like, about how it happened. So on the day of my test, I can't remember when it was a couple months ago now, it's about 2 or 3 months ago. It was June or July, I can't exactly remember the date. But yeah, before going in, I had it quite early, so me and my mum went down. We had like a cup of tea or coffee, whatever, just to like relax me a bit before I actually went in, because I was really nervous. I kept telling myself I wasn't, but when you actually get there, you're so nervous, because you just think, like, if I fail this, I'm just gonna have to come back in a couple of weeks or a month or so and just do the exact same thing over again. It's just unnecessary nerves, I guess, which you just don't really want to do again. So I was really nervous, which is understandable. A lot of people are. So yeah, we went and got a hot drink just to calm me down a bit before going in. And yeah, it definitely helped. I kind of felt a bit more relief, but it was a bit dodgy. Like, when I first got there, I had to go into this big, it's like a huge building, I can't remember what it's called, but it's near where I live. It's a big building, and it's one of those doors where you have to be buzzed in to to go in, or someone has to open the door and let you in. And there was no one in the office, so I was just stood outside for like 50 minutes waiting for someone to come, and no one showed up. So I just kind of stood there, like, getting nervous. Like, it was just unnecessary stress being put onto me, like, will I even get into the building or not? But luckily someone had just finished their test and let me in. So yeah, I went upstairs. I got lost a bit because it's kind of dodgy. The directions aren't as clear as they probably should be. So it took me a while to find the place, but you finally get there, and there's this like queue, and there's like two strips. I forget what they're called, but like it's kind of like barricades, but like not proper ones, like security ones, just, you know, to section everything off. So there was like two of those either side. So it formed like a little lane for me to walk down, and I went to the desk, and she was like, oh, what's your name, blah blah blah, age, not age, like address, just you know, the general details. Then she told me to go sit down and put all my valuables into a locker, which I wasn't really expecting. Like, I thought that was a bit weird to put your stuff in a locker, but I guess it's so people don't cheat, because if they have their phone on them, they can obviously Google the answers or whatever. So yeah, you put all your stuff in the locker, and then you have to sit down and wait for everyone else to finish their test who are currently doing it. So I was waiting for like 10-15 minutes. I was just thinking everything through, trying to remember like everything I'd learned a couple of nights before. But yeah, I was getting really nervous at this point, but they finally called me up and said, like, you're free to go in now. So I went over to talk to the guy. He was like, he gave me some headphones, because for the hazard perception you have to like listen to a video, and basically just like watch what happens and click on the thing. I'll get into that later. But yeah, he handed me some headphones. He was basically like, oh, you're in stool numbers, let's just say I was in stool 6. I honestly can't remember. But yeah, he told me to go sit down on the stool. and he said make sure you like listen to the instructions. If you're not 100% clear on what to do, just watch it through a couple times. Make sure you definitely know what you're doing, and then feel free to start the test whenever you want. So I watched the video through. I knew exactly what I was doing because I already did the test before. So yeah, I watched them through a couple times, and yeah, I finally started the test. And honestly, guys, like I felt so nervous. Like I sat there with probably about 20 other people just in this room. It was a bit like an office room, so there's like this section off stools, so you can basically cheat. But there was quite a few people in there, and I was so nervous at this point. Like I really didn't want to fail. But yeah, I sat down, did the test. I watched the video through, obviously, to make sure I definitely knew what I was doing. And I was really lucky because a lot of the questions that came up, I'd say a good 10, I'd already done like a couple nights before. So I knew I definitely got those right. But when I went through the test at the very end, because they give you like an hour to do the test, and in reality, you only really spend 20 minutes on it or so, unless obviously you get stuck on a question or whatever. But I was finishing, I'd say, about half an hour, so I had quite a lot of time left to go through my answers and make sure everything was right. Or at least like I thought everything was right. And I went through and I was counting up like what potentially isn't right and what definitely is right or whatever. And I came to about 10 questions where I honestly didn't think, I didn't know the answer exactly. And at this point, you have to get, I think, 42 or 43. Like, it's really small margin for error. So I was getting really nervous at this point. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't want to like second guess myself and change the answer and screw myself over, because one of my friends, I won't name him, but he actually went through he went through his test at the end, and he got 40, let's just say it's out of 43. I think it's either 42 or 43, but let's just say it's out of 43. He went through and he changed one of his answers at the very end of the test, and it actually cost him his theory, because he originally had the answer right. So let's say it's out of 43, he ended up with 42 points because he changed the question, and it ended up being wrong, which is, I just didn't want that to happen to me. It's a bit annoying, so I just went with my gut instinct, and yeah, I did okay on that. I actually managed to get 49 out of 50, which is ridiculous. Like, that's obviously nearly perfect. I was so surprised. But yeah, so I went on to the hazard perception next, and that one was a bit more tricky. I wouldn't say, I don't know if it was necessarily harder, but it's just like you have to really watch, and if you miss something, you feel like you're going to fail the test. But you basically just have to watch and click whenever you see a hazard, and there's normally like 2 or 3 hazards every single video. And on that one, I obviously passed as well. I didn't do it quite as well, but I think I got 53 out of 75, so not an incredible score, but you know, it's going to do okay. It obviously passed me, and at the end of the day, as long as you pass, it doesn't really make a difference. Max just passed on both of them. He didn't. Obviously, go watch his video. I'll leave I'll leave a link to his video in the description. He literally got on the minimum requirement for the first part of the test, and I don't know what he got. I can't remember what he got on the hazard one, but yeah, like, it doesn't make a difference as long as you pass. There's no difference to the insurance or whatever between me and Max. Even though I passed a little bit better than him, it won't honestly make a difference. So as long as you pass, it doesn't really like change anything. But I just wanted to just say this because I know a lot of you probably will be doing your test soon, or maybe in a few years or whatever, and honestly, just try and not be as nervous as possible. I know I was really nervous, but it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. Please don't score here, what a save. But it's honestly not as bad as you think it's going to be. You kind of walk in expecting like you're going to fail or whatever, and if you just walk in with a positive mindset, you're going to do so much better. And I guess that applies to pretty much everything you do. But just try and like calm yourself down. Try and listen to music or whatever just before, so you're like in a good place. What a strike that was, Coutinho. But yeah, just try and put yourself in a good place before you start. Just try and think positive things the whole time, because if you think negative, it's only going to make you do worse. And in terms of revision, I'd make sure like you don't want to go into your test and you're like the day before you're failing every single mock test you do on your app or whatever. Like, if you're failing every single test, chances are you probably won't pass. But as long as you are passing a few of them, or obviously you want to be passing every single one, but as long as you're passing, let's say 2 and 3, then you know you've got a good chance of passing your actual test. So even though your instructor's probably telling you like you're not going to pass if you're not passing every single mock test, you're not going to pass, because at the end of the day, it's a completely different situation and environment, and the questions are going to be different to slightly different to the mock test. So yeah, just like, even if you fail, you might as well go in. It gives you like the experience for the next time you do it, so at least then you're more prepared for it. But yeah, just basically, it's, as long as you're doing okay on your mocks, you will be okay in the test. So yeah, but let's move on to the practical test, which was a completely like different. It's just a completely different test. The theory test was a lot more relaxed, I'd say. But obviously the mock test, I'd started my driving lessons in February. I can't remember the exact date, but it was like the day that the upgrades came out for FIFA 16, the winter ones, because I remember I was at my uncle's the night before. But yeah, I started my test, so I've been driving for like 8 months before I finally passed my test. But yeah, so I had my test about 2.5 weeks ago. It was October the 7th or 8th, something like that. It was on a Saturday, sorry. But yeah, like I was trying to keep myself calm because I knew how bad how bad I was feeling in the theory, because I was just making myself too nervous than what I should have been. So I tried to calm myself down, and I obviously was I was oh my god, the bullshit there. But I was definitely more calm in my practical than I was in my theory, 100%. I don't know if I was more nervous, but just in terms of like stress levels or whatever, I was definitely a lot more calm. But yeah, so my test was like I think it was 9:07 in the morning. So I was awake at like 7 in the morning. I made sure I got like an early night's sleep or whatever, a good night's sleep, sorry, and went to bed early, because I didn't want to be like a zombie for my test, because yeah, it's just not going to help me any at all, is it really? So just make sure I was in a good place before my test. But yeah, so my instructor picked me up about 8 o'clock, and we had like a little, everyone before your test, you have like an hour's lesson, just so you can go over anything that you're struggling with. So for example, we went over the maneuvers, especially the left reverse, which basically you have to reverse around the corner into the side road or whatever. But obviously if you guys drive, you know what I'm on about. But that's the one that I was probably the most nervous about doing. So we went through that a couple of times, went through the general maneuvers like parallel parking, stuff like that. And then we went through the practice questions, which I'll get onto later, sorry. But basically you have to answer 2 of, I think it's like 23 questions potentially, and they give you 2 of them to answer. So I made sure I made sure I was good with those, because that's just an instant minor that you could avoid. Because if you fail the test, if you fail those 2 questions, you don't fail the test, you just get a minor. So if you don't know them all, it's not the end of the world, but it's just an unnecessary minor to put onto yourself, and before you've even started the test, you're already being negatively marked. So it's just like an extra bit of stress that could be easily avoided with just a couple hours revision. So we went through those, and then obviously we arrived at the test center. But the day before, or I think 2 days before my test, we actually had another 2-hour lesson, and in that lesson I did so bad. Like I was honestly messing up so many times. For a turn in the road, or 3-point turn, whatever you want to call it, I stalled the car like 6 times in a row, just trying to do a turn in the road. And at that point I was just thinking to myself, like, if I'm stalling now, how am I going to do this on my test? I just felt so, oh my god, I'm so lucky there. But I was just feeling like so bad, like I was failing my maneuvers so much, and it was just a really bad lesson. And I'm sure my instructor was probably thinking I'm screwed in my test, which is fair enough. Like if you're failing that bad in like a couple of days before your test, then you're probably not going to do well. But luckily I did. But yeah, so I didn't do very well in my lessons before. So we arrived at the test center about, I don't know what it was, probably like 8:45, maybe 9 o'clock. And just before, we quickly went through the practice questions again, just to make sure I knew exactly what the answers were, because like I said, it's just unnecessary marks to be put down on. So yeah, I went through those. I was okay with those, to be fair. And then you arrived in the thing, you arrive at the test center, and your instructor drives you in. He like parks the car for you, or you can choose to park it yourself, but I just kind of wanted to relax before my test, so I made him park the car. And we went into the waiting room, and you just had to wait there for a few minutes. It wasn't long, probably like 5 minutes. And there was another person in there with me. I'm not sure if she passed or not. I think she did, because she was kind of smiling, but I don't know if it was like smiling like, you know, to cover the pain or whatever. But yeah, like there was only one other person with me. She looked about my age, but yeah, so we were in the waiting room, and eventually the guy came out. There's 2 people, a girl for her and a man for me. And yeah, I can't remember what my guy was called. I think he was called Steve, but he was a bit of a lad, I'm not gonna lie. I was really like expecting some old guy with glasses, like chubby, short, to come out, just looked like he wanted to kill me, and just make me feel like even more nervous, and like try and make me fail, if you know what I mean, like just assume the worst was gonna happen. But he was a really like not happy guy, but like he was a positive guy, and he didn't like, he wasn't looking for me to fail. He seemed like a genuine guy, so I was really pleased that I got him as my examiner. But yeah, he obviously he asked for my ID or driving license, whatever, like where I live, just the general information, and we walked over to the car. And before we go in, they make you basically read a number plate. I'm sure you guys know about that. So I had to read a number plate. I actually got it wrong. It was I can't remember what it exactly was, but let's say it was HN, and then it was like an I and a 1. And there was 2 letters, it was 2 things next to each other, and they kind of in my eyes just became one word. It was like an I and a J or something like that, so I missed out the I, and he was like, oh, do you want to read that again to make sure? And I was like, I read it again, I got it right luckily the second time. But it was just basically because it was so far away, the 2 lines became one in my eyes. So but you know, he's not going to fail me if I get it wrong, so it was okay. So we walked over to the car, and he was like, you can get into the car, I'll join you in a minute. So I got in, just kind of prepared myself, you know, like just patted down my chest, whatever, strapped up, put the seatbelt on, sorry. I just tried to make myself feel as calm as possible. And we actually won that game 1-0, which was obviously really decent. But yeah, so we got into the car, and he was like, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions. It was like, I think they were both, I can't remember exactly what my questions were, but it was, one of them was on the bonnet, sorry. So we opened up the bonnet before we got into the car. So we opened up the bonnet, and let's just say he told me to ask where the brake fluid level was. Oh no, I actually remember now, it was the oil level. So he told me, how do you check the oil level of the car? And you basically have to pull up the dipstick, wipe it down, put it back in and pull it up. And then you check in between the minimum and maximum lines. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And then he told me to get into the car. So we got into the car, and then the next question was like, how do you know how to properly adjust your head restraint, which is like the thing that your head sits on. And I was like, oh, the rigid part has to be at least above the ear, has to be at least ear level or above the ear. He said, yeah, that's fine. So he told me to start the engine, and then we drove off. And I was honestly, guys, I was so nervous. I was happy I got through those 2 questions. They were probably the 2 of the easier ones I could have been asked, so I was quite lucky. Yeah, so we drove off, and we went down the road, and straight away from my test center, there's a dual carriageway literally like a minute away from it, and we had to go we actually went that way, which was kind of annoying. But yeah, so we went straight onto the dual carriageway within like a minute of my test. And to be honest, guys, I was like, the whole time before my test, I was just thinking like, how am I gonna pass this, like before my test. But once you're actually like driving the car, it is not really any different to having a lesson. It's just with a different person. You just have to like think, it's not like as hard as you're making it out to be. You're effectively just driving the car, and if you can't pass, like if you're not good enough to pass the car, if you're not good enough to drive under the pressure with the examiner, sorry, chances are you're probably not good enough to drive the car. So you just have to think to yourself, like, I am good enough to do this. There's no reason I'm going to fail this unless like, you know, like if someone pulls out in front of you and you have to slam your brakes on, you go into him or something, you fail because of that. Like, there's nothing you can do. But if you're failing because you're getting like ridiculous amount of miles or something, you shouldn't really be driving at that point. You're probably not ready. So I just thought to myself, I'm definitely ready. There's no reason I can't fail, like I can't pass, sorry. So I just tried to like make myself feel as positive as possible while doing the test. So we were driving on the dual carriageway, we turned off, and we were on it for quite a while, not gonna lie. And the whole time this guy was being such a lad. Like, I was expecting him to just be really grumpy, but he just kept asking me like questions, trying to make me feel at ease. Like he was asking me, for example, where I'll go to if I'm in education or if I have a job or whatever. We just had like a general chat about just stuff like where I worked and just things like that, and it just made me feel a lot more comfortable, because it obviously creates that like more personal relationship, I guess, with the person, as opposed to a more I don't know what the word is, but a more a less like teacher student relationship, more like a friendly one. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, basically it was a nice like environment he created in the car, so I felt a lot more at ease. And we got the maneuver out the way like straight away within like the first 10 minutes of the test. I had to do it. The one I actually had to do was the left reverse around the corner. Luckily I did okay. I've done that. I did that exact road, sorry, before quite a few times for my examiner with my instructor, sorry. So I already knew how to do it. But as I arrived, like a car already came. And I kind of just sat there waiting for him to drive past, and I was like, do you want me to drive on or just like stay there? And he was like, do whatever you think you should do. So it was a bit dodgy. I had to like drive forward and then try it again. But yeah, I did that okay. And to be fair, like once you've done your maneuver, it's just normal driving from that point. So as long as you pass your, oh dear, what is he doing? But yeah, as long as you pass your maneuver, you should be okay from that point. It's just general driving. He may ask you to do an emergency stop, which I actually had to do, but it's just literally just driving the car straight with the occasional pull up on the left. So yeah, like it was quite lucky I got it out the way early, because otherwise you're just thinking the whole test like, oh, what maneuver am I going to be doing, and it's just more nerves, so it's just nice to get it out the way. So yeah, we did that, and then from then on it was just obviously normal driving, and then he told me to do the emergency stop, which was okay. You just have to drive at 20 miles per hour and stop the car as fast as possible, so that was fine. And then on the day it was really misty, so it's actually quite embarrassing. I told my friends this, but the car was missing up quite badly, so he told me to pull over on the left, and it was the first time I actually had to. So yeah, we stopped on the left, and he was like, the car's getting a bit misty, so do you want to sort something out? Do you want to do something to sort this? So I was like, okay. But I didn't actually know how to demist the car, so I just winded down the windows, and then wind them back up, and then he was like, okay, carry on driving, and then he started marking stuff down on his paper, and he actually gave me a minor for that, because I didn't know how to properly operate the car, I guess. But it's not like oh, for fuck's sake. But obviously it's not like a proper major or anything, because it's not like dangerous driving. It's easy to correct what I did. All it took was my instructor telling me how to do it, and I was able to fix it. So obviously it's not too much of a problem, but it was a bit embarrassing, because all I had to literally do was flick a couple dials and I would have demisted the car. We were just sat there for a minute, wait for the windows to demist, and we could have drove on. This guy's, I don't know if I've lagged out, if he's lagged out, but if he's lagged out, I've been absolutely peach sticks. He was 1-0 up. Yeah, he was 1-0 up, and we've disconnected, unless he's doing that stupid glitch that I'm not actually going to do, because it's cheating. But basically, if you score a goal and leave before the game starts, you automatically get a win and it goes to the next round, which is kind of shit, because you're basically there's no losing if you do that. But yeah, I'm just don't want to go off on the tangent, but yeah. So what was I on about? Demisting the window, yes. So yeah, I didn't demist the windows properly, and they got misty again, and yeah, he obviously didn't like that, so he gave me a minor for that. But apart from that, the test went okay. We were just driving around most roads that I'd done before. They asked you to do a bit of independent driving, so basically he says follow the signs to, for example, town centre. So we'll be in one location, and he'll just say follow the signs to town centre, and then from that point you're on your own. You just have to follow the signs to this, obviously the town centre, or he might tell you to follow the signs to London, let's just say, or whatever. Or he may also, or instead he will say, like, so for example, he'll be like, so follow this road, and he'll follow this road and take the first left. After that, take the second right at the roundabout, take the third exit, and then once you're on that road, pull up on the left. Let's just say he says that. But for me, it's follow the signs, which I personally think was easier, because it's less like having to remember. You just literally have to look on the left of the road and follow the signs. And obviously, because it was town centre, I knew where I was going anyway, so it was less following the signs, just remembering the way back. And I basically live at the town centre, so I was basically just driving home. I was quite lucky. But yeah, so we did that, and after that you just have to drive back to the test centre. We finally arrived back, and at that point he basically says if you passed or failed, and obviously I passed, which I was just so shocked, because before the test you do mock tests with your instructor, and I hadn't passed one test. Like I failed every single mock test, not badly. It was just like one major or something that, like, a stupid mistake. So for example, the last mock test I did, I got 9 minors. I think you're allowed 15 or 13, something like that, minors. So it was an okay pass, wasn't a great pass, but it's a decent pass. But on literally the very last turn, I braked and signaled before I checked my mirrors, and it caused the guy behind me having to slam on his brakes and then drive to the right of me. So I automatically failed the test there, which kind of sucked, because obviously up until that point I was passing quite well. But yeah, I actually hadn't passed the mock test, so I was getting a bit nervous about actually having to do the test for real. But yeah, I passed the test. I only got 4 minors, which is incredible, considering one of them was just because I didn't know how to demist my windows. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. I was quite proud. And he then takes your like driving license off you. Just says in 3 weeks or so he'll send you the proper one. And then he hands you a certificate. Basically says that you should. He recommends that you do this Pass Plus thing, which basically gets you better at driving, which is fair enough. But I obviously haven't done that. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole test. You just have to do a few things. You do a maneuver. There's a 1 in 3 chance, my instructor was saying, of doing a emergency stop. This guy has like 4 ultimate screen cards, by the way, which looks sick. But yeah, there's a 1 in 3 chance of doing the emergency stop, and then you have to do some independent driving, and then it's just from that point it's just normal driving. And it's honestly, if you really think about what you have to do, it's not that hard of a test. Like, it's just general driving, and I'd say probably the most chance that you have of failing is on the maneuver. Like, for example, if you have to parallel park, you may mount the curb, or you may cross the road if you're doing the left reverse, or you're stalling the car too many times, something like that. It's just like stupid mistakes which you may not necessarily be a bad driver, but it may fail you just because you made a stupid mistake. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole test. I got 4 minors. My other minors were hesitating. I got 2 minors for hesitating at a roundabout, which basically means that I could have easily gone, but I was basically just making sure that it was extra safe, because at the end of the day I was nervous. I didn't want to crash the car, so I was making sure there was definitely a safe gap to go. But I easily could have went on 2 occasions at a different point in the roundabout, which is fair enough. But he marked me down for that because obviously I'm holding up traffic behind me. So it's a fair enough minor, but it's nothing like crazy. It's not going to fail me because it's not dangerous driving. If anything, it's just like being extra safe. So yeah, it kind of sucked, but I was obviously over the moon with 4 minors, and from that point, like I was, it was like it only just sat into my head. Like, I'm actually legally allowed to drive a car. Like, it's insane. Like, you can actually drive a car by yourself. You don't realize, but yeah, I actually finally got my first car or last Wednesday, about a week. It would have been about a week ago today, I think. But yeah, it's a Fiat Punto. I haven't shared it or anywhere on social media just because I don't know. It's not like a freaking sports car or anything, so I'm not gonna make a video on it. But you know, obviously I love the car. It's really nice to drive. But yeah, I just want to share with you guys, like, the test honestly isn't as bad as people make it out to be. A lot of people like say they've been screwed over by the examiner, but the chances are they probably just made a mistake. Like, the examiners want you to pass. They don't want you to fail, because at the end of the day they want their pass rates to be high. So if anyone's saying like the examiner screwed them over, like, the chances are they probably didn't. They may just be in a bad mood, which is just unlucky, I guess. But yeah, just go into the test, just like the theory test. Just think like positive thoughts the whole time. If you're able to drive, your examiner's not going to make you do your test if he doesn't think you're ready. So just remember that, like, the chances are you are good enough to pass your test. So just keep thinking positive thoughts, and just assume you're going to pass the test before you've even started. Don't get cocky, of course, but just try and stay positive the whole time you're doing your test. And the chances are you will do well. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about in terms of my driving test, obviously. But yeah, I'm just going to have a quick drink because my mouth is so dry right now. And yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to talk about in this podcast. I want my podcast to be quite short, because I don't want them going on for like an hour or so, unless it's like a special occasion. Say I get Alex or the Great GD or something like that on. Obviously they will be a bit longer because there'll be 2 of us and we'll talk about like old memories and stuff like that. But the last thing I want to talk about, just kind of YouTube in general, like ideas, where I want to go and stuff like that. So yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is potentially doing a career mode. If any of you are still watching at this point, I wanted to maybe do like an online career mode. So for example, I'll do it with the Great GD. It'll most likely be with him or Balaclava Gamer, depending on whether he starts his channel soon or not. I would like to do it with Skez, but obviously he doesn't have his own YouTube channel. For some reason, I don't know why he hasn't yet, but I assume one day he probably will start a channel, but I don't see him doing it anytime soon. But yeah, I would do it with him, but just because he doesn't have a channel, he won't be able to upload his own episodes. So I'll probably do it with like the Great GD or the Balaclava Gamer, like I said. But it'll basically be us doing a career mode. We'll choose, for example, let's just say Alexandra, and try and get them into the Premier League, eventually win the Champions League. And we'll just do an episode on each other's channel. So for example, I'll do episode 1 and GD will do episode 2, I do 3, 4, etc. Yeah, we just basically get in share play and play career mode together. It'd be a lot of fun. And yeah, me and GD used to do this just for fun a couple of years ago. We didn't do it last year or the year before that because it's just career mode, I don't know, it's just been kind of dead recently. I don't really enjoy playing it that much because you're just guaranteed to win everything. Like, I'm not gonna lie, unless you play on ultimate or legendary, whatever the hardest one is, you're just gonna win everything. So yeah, we haven't really done it that much, but we used to go over each other's house pretty much every week. So we used to start a career mode together, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I just thought it'd be quite fun to do a little YouTube series on it, play on the hardest difficulty, so we weren't winning every single time, and basically do what me and Jibbin used to do with the Manchester one. I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember what that series was called. I think it's like, I honestly can't remember what that series was called. But yeah, we basically just do exactly what me and Jim did, but over share play, and we just separate the episodes up on each other's channels, and it'd just be a lot of fun. And I just wanted to see what you guys thought about it. If you'd like to see something like that, then obviously let me know. If you don't, then just let me know again. But the chances are I probably will bring something out like that in the future. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say now. Yeah, so I was thinking for like a Christmas special, maybe. Obviously this won't be for like until Christmas basically, but I was thinking about doing a Christmas giveaway. I'm not sure exactly how many coins I would do, but obviously recently I packed Messi. I'll leave a link to the description for that video as well, where I did actually pack Messi, which was just insane. I did it last year as well, so I was so surprised when he came out. I honestly wish I got the live reaction, because it was so funny. I was going crazy. But yeah, unfortunately I didn't, so I missed out on that. But basically I wanted to do a giveaway. I started on December the 1st, and then basically on the Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or Boxing Day, one of those 3 days, I'd announce the winner and transfer over the coins. It'll probably be 50k, maybe even 100k, depending on how many coins I have at that time. But as it stands, I have about 600k left over, so it probably would be a 100k giveaway. But yeah, if you guys like the sound of that, just let me know. I will of course think about doing it depending on my coin situation, like I said at that point. But I almost certainly will be doing some sort of giveaway, and I also want to do like reacting to old videos, video with probably Kazelix or the Great GD. We'll go have a look at our old channels and just have a look at some of our old videos. Like I've got quite a few videos that are privated that a few people probably would have seen. For example, Lammy, who was my first subscriber, and also YouTube friends. We've done quite a few videos with him. He probably would have seen a few of my old videos. I actually had a series called Akinfenwa's England Dream, where Akinfenwa was like the marquee player, and I had to build an England team around him. Also did a Rocket League episode, which I've privated, and I think that's pretty much it. It was just Rocket League video and the Akinfenwa series that I privated. But I also had a few channels in the past which I've not privated, sorry, but just obviously haven't mentioned before. So yeah, I'll probably just have a look at those. It'd be a bit of a laugh, because those videos were so bad. Like I used to record them with my BlackBerry back in the day. This was like probably like 5 or 6 years ago now, which is crazy. We also had a video where Emilio did like some crazy dancing in my room, which got like 600 views for us, which was just crazy at the time. And we also did a Harlem Shake, which is the most amount of views I've ever got on a video before. I think we got like 6,000 or 7,000 views, which was crazy. But yeah, we'll definitely have a look at some of those videos. Just have a bit of a laugh, more of a relaxed video. Probably do it with hopefully Great GD and Kazelix, but if not, it would be definitely just one of them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. That's pretty much all I want to talk. Well, that is everything I want to talk about. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. Obviously, I don't do these videos for the views. They're probably going to be the least viewed videos, sorry, because they're just like long. I've currently been recording for 35 minutes. I probably will be able to cut it down a little bit, because there was a few pauses or whatever. But yeah, though obviously I just do them for me. It's just a more relaxed video. Can kind of just get like a few things off my chest, or just talk more personally to you guys. Tell you some things that I wouldn't bring up in normal videos. For example, like my driving test results, and just for like ideas for the channel. I'll definitely do want to do one of these with another YouTuber at some point. I don't know when. It is quite hard to find a time, because for example Max, who is now like really trying his hardest to do daily uploads. Sometimes he's even I think he's uploaded like twice a day a few times now. But yeah, it's quite hard to get someone on, because the Great GD, he's like the least inconsistent YouTuber like known to man at the moment. And Max is trying to be the most consistent YouTuber known to man. So and they're like the two people that I would do it with. I would probably do it with Skez, but like I said, he doesn't have a YouTube channel, and not a lot of you guys would know who he is. So yeah, like, I want to do it with one of those two, but like I said, it's hard to find the time, like, because it's going to take like a 2-hour slot up, because obviously preparing everything and just like accounting for bloopers and things like that, it'll probably take about 2 hours to record the video. So yeah, it's kind of hard to find that amount of time where people are free to just give up to just basically talk about nonsense really. But at some point we definitely will do one. When that will be, I have no idea, but I do look forward to doing that because it will be a lot of fun. We'll be able to talk about like funny moments we've had at school, and like I said, it'll be a lot more personal. We can go into more detail about our personal lives because I've known Max and the Great GD since like reception, so that's like 15 years almost, which is just insane. So we've had a lot of moments together, which will be a lot of fun to share with you guys. But yeah, like I was saying, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. I don't know when it will be because I said, oh Jesus Christ, that free kick was awful. But I said that I wanted to do these like weekly or fortnightly, and I definitely haven't done that. So I think it was like 2-3 months ago since I've done my last one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'll try and bring out more of these. Probably I want to do at least once a month, but I don't really have like anything large enough to talk about for an hour. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Next video out will probably be a Pro Clubs video, maybe a Foot Me Up. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace.